KHOU TV, Houston. And now, from 11 News in Houston, Steve Smith, Marlene McClinton, Dr. Neil Frank with weather, and Gib Nielsen on sports. This is KHOU 11 News.
It's so tasty, too.
Comedian Lucille Ball in one of her most memorable scenes on the I Love Lucy show. A giant in the entertainment world who made millions of people laugh has died. Good evening. She will be remembered as the woman who entertained the world with laughter for more than 6 decades. And as her friend George Burns said, as long as the world goes on, Lucy will be seen.
Doctors in Los Angeles say Lucille Ball died this morning of a sudden rupture of her aorta. 8 days after surgery to correct a similar problem. Until the end came, she appeared to be on the road to recovery. Dennis Cunningham has more.
Where's the key? Haven't you got the key?
America loved Lucy best and above all from the TV show I Love Lucy. She was Lucy Ricardo, a band leader's wife who was never content to be simply that. The inspired comedy that rose out of that simple premise made television history back in the early 50s and has never stopped making history since then, except that now, almost 40 years later, Lucy's fame is worldwide, and those who love her today might well be the grandchildren of those who loved her from the start.
But I've got the most gorgeous girl right by my side, Lucille Ball, right there.
Lucille Ball had an extensive movie career before television, and even during and after television. But good as most of her movie work was, it lived in the shadow of her TV Lucy.
Ricky, this is it.
This is it.
The show was not only a forum for legendary comedy, but a substantial business success. Lucy and her husband and co-star Desi Arnaz owned the Desi-Lou company that presented their show, and from an original $5,000 investment became a multi-million-dollar business. Lucy and Desi were parents to 2 children, Lucy Arnaz and Desi Jr., and they were divorced in 1960. The following year, Lucy married comedian Gary Morton. Lucy had a critical success in 1985 in a serious role of a homeless lady of the New York streets and spent the last years of her life being honored by various institutions and making guest appearances. There were other Lucy incarnations, such as Here's Lucy and The Lucy Show, and even as late as 1986, very briefly, Life with Lucy. But above all, America and the world loved Lucy. Lucille Ball, dead at the age of 77. Dennis Cunningham for CBS News.
Joining us now live to talk about Lucille Ball is Ann Hodges. Ann is television critic for the Houston Chronicle. Ann, I get the idea that Lucille Ball, maybe along with Imogene Coca, probably wrote the book as far as at least females in television comedy goes. What do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. She set the standard. She was the queen of comedy all of her life. And I don't really think even a Carol Burnett can come up and touch her, because what she did at the time that she did it was a totally new departure from anything that had been done before on television. And she made the sitcom come alive. By doing that, she really set the standards for everybody. I think she'll go down right with Laurel and Hardy and Charlie Chaplin, the greatest of comedy.
And did she make it, though, any easier for women in comedy?
Did she make it? Well, she was so far ahead, you know, and she was so unique because she probably was the first of any woman in television with a show to really be the boss. She was in charge of everything. She had producers and she had writers and she had people who did things, but nothing was too small to escape her notice, and she was a perfectionist. And that's what really was her style and standard. She wanted everything to be the very best that she could get it, and she wouldn't settle for less.
She succeeded. Ann Hodges, the Chronicle, good to visit with you. Thanks a lot. Right on.
CBS News will present a special hour-long tribute to Lucille Ball tonight at 9, right here on Channel 11. Steve?
The United States Supreme Court has completed day 1 in what could be months of debate over abortion. The High Court is being asked to reconsider the historic Roe v. Wade ruling of 1973. That ruling said abortion is a woman's private right. A lawyer representing the Bush administration told the justices that making abortion illegal would not unravel the fabric of the constitutional right to privacy. A pro-abortion lawyer argued that once a single thread is pulled, there's no stopping. Outside, demonstrators on both sides of the issue staged a showdown. Police arrested 24 people.
Here in Houston, local pro-abortion groups were on several street corners trying to drum up support to keep abortion legal. Meanwhile, those on the other side, anti-abortion groups, were saying that today their battle is only in the courtroom. Our Carolyn
We are the silent majority. There are more of us that would like to have it be a woman's right to life. Would you agree with that? Would you sign, please?
Local pro-choice groups hit the streets today. Armed with petitions, women at 16 sites around the city collected signatures to send to legislators.
Women are feeling that they're going to have to be a bit more active now because of the numbers of people who have become active on the other side, on the anti-choice side.
The Supreme Court heard arguments today in a case people on both sides of the issue believe could drastically change abortion laws. At a news conference, pro-choice groups announced plans to fight to keep abortions legal.
You will see a significant political upheaval, and you will see a tremendous response from pro-choice activists.
On the other side,
That no person may be deprived of life.
local pro-life groups were more low-key. They say they aren't concerned about their voices not being heard.
We have signed many petitions and sent them in large numbers to Congress and to the President's office. We don't feel today it is necessary. We want the arguments to speak for themselves.
The group does have a number of events planned this weekend. The court's decision is not expected until early summer. Carolyn Campbell, 11 News.
The President of the United States is in Texas tonight. He's just finished addressing state lawmakers in Austin.
Our man in Austin, Philip Bruce, is standing by live at the state capitol with the story. Phil?
Well, Steve, Marlene, a packed House chamber this afternoon where President Bush has just wrapped up his address to this joint session of the Texas legislature. His visit caused a great deal of excitement this afternoon around the Capitol, not since the days of Lyndon Johnson as a president addressed these lawmakers. And the president's message today was tailor-made for this crowd. He talked at length about the state's ongoing economic recovery, which he called the Texas turnaround.
Texas is back in the saddle, strong in every way. State unemployment has dipped to its lowest level in 4 years, signaling, I think, the diversification of the Texas economy.
And you heard the president mention diversification of the Texas economy. He also spoke about deregulation of the natural gas industry, something else that is expected to help the Texas economy. The president also addressed an issue that has been a nagging question throughout his political career. He says, I may like Kennebunkport, Maine, but I consider myself a real Texan. Before he left, he was named an honorary Texas Ranger by the governor. Back in 1981, George Bush was supposed to address a joint session of the legislature here when he was vice president. He made it all the way to Austin, but by the time his plane touched down, he was notified that President Ronald Reagan had been shot there at the Washington Hilton, and he had just enough time to refuel and head back to the Capitol. Steve, Marlene.
Interesting historical perspective there. Thank you, Phil.
All right.
Before he stopped in Austin, the president paid a visit to his ex-boss in Los Angeles. Mr. Bush told Ronald Reagan he had some assignments in foreign policy he would like the former president to consider, but he didn't mention anything specific. The meeting marked the first time the two have talked since Bush was sworn in as chief executive. Reagan said his successor is doing a fine job. In tonight's HealthWise report, medicine for heart patients. It may hurt instead of help.
Our Susan Starnes is here. She joins us with the story. Susan?
Well, Marlene, for those people who have irregular heartbeats, a new warning from the Food and Drug Administration is causing some panic. 2 drugs previously believed to be life-sustaining are now shown to be life-threatening. While heart specialists sort through the data, patients with heart rhythm problems are wondering what they should do. Having an abnormal heartbeat doesn't bother Peggy Engels as much as it did before she started taking Encanide.
It would happen maybe once a week or every 2 weeks or maybe even daily. They occur maybe every 2 to 6 months apart, maybe 3 months apart. They've decreased dramatically.
Engels takes Encanide 3 times a day. It's the drug her cardiologist prescribed 2 years ago. Now the Food and Drug Administration says the drug, which was supposed to help the heart, instead may bring on heart attacks. The FDA says Encanide, commercially sold as Encade, and a second drug, Flecainide, marketed as Tambicor, should be used in only life-threatening situations. Dr. Gerald Nacarelli participated in experimental trials of both drugs. He expects the FDA to issue new labeling.
They are going to probably insist upon a relabeling of the indication for the drugs so that they could still be used and used in patients that are refractory to other treatments, and they would be used more for patients, again, with more severe arrhythmic disturbances as a general rule.
FDA Commissioner Frank Young is sending letters to physicians warning these two drugs could increase the risk of heart attacks in some patients. The study showed the rate of heart attack among patients taking the drugs 2.5 times higher than a group taking sugar pills. The study group was 730 patients who had already experienced a heart attack, not patients like Peggy, who have no history of heart attack. Just because these drugs are under special scrutiny by the Food and Drug Administration, that does not mean patients should just stop taking them on their own. Ask the doctor who prescribed the medicine. Every heart rhythm problem is as unique as a fingerprint, and that's why you should ask your doctor before deciding to do anything.
All right, no self-medication.
That's right.
Thank you. There is much more ahead here on 11 News at 5. We'll tell you about all the craziness surrounding the country's largest jackpot ever. It's the chance to become an instant multi-millionaire.
Also, we'll check in with our man in the Weather Center, Neil Frank. And when we come back, a special report on Houston's top jocks. We'll meet some of the bad boys of morning radio. Still to come.
We got calls on line 2. Our doctor's your doctor. If you're a little embarrassed to talk to your doctor about something, talk to Dr. Juan. And you're at, hello?
It's Texas Truck Month. Time to unveil the limited edition Texas Ranger. Start with Ranger. Add the XLT package, aluminum wheels, and V6 power. Inside, it's loaded. Now get a factory discount of more than $2,600. That's over 20% off manufacturer's suggested retail price, even before you make your best deal. And save on Texas Ranger Super Cab. During Truck Month, come on in and register to win a Texas Ranger. See your dealer for details. Now choose 2.9% financing or cash back.
Whataburger, the custom-made burger, made special just for you. With all the things that you like best, it's your hamburger dream come true. We make it for you. Fresh and hot, it hits the spot. It's the burger that's made your way. Whataburger, it's a better burger. Have a Whataburger day.
How am I going to handle this one, counselor?
Quit drinking.
Well, that's easy for you to say.
Look, I had a drinking problem and I almost lost my practice.
What did you do?
I went to SHIC. Their medical treatment helped me lose the craving.
How long were you in the hospital?
Just 10 days, plus a couple follow-ups.
Give them a call.
SHIC also provides complete 2-year aftercare.
First Investors Fund for Income, a fund that seeks a high yield, has delivered a monthly dividend check without fail for over 15 years. In good times or bad, that check has been there, month after month after month. Although past performance is no guarantee of future performance, paying over 180 consecutive dividends speaks for itself. For a free prospectus, call First Investors, the prudent mutual fund people. First Investors Fund for Income, every month since 1973.
Radio, hotter than ever, they say. In any given week, more than 3 million people here tune to radio. Talk radio, news radio, top 40, album rock, classic oldies, R&B, you name it, outrageous radio. Name the format and it's a button push away.
And tonight, our Claire Cassidy-Namont begins a special report on the top personalities in Houston radio and why they turn us on.
Good morning, it's Stevens and Pruitt from 101 KHOU. Actually, we're just the Groove Dogs, that's all.
They're grown men who call themselves the Groove Dogs. Meet Jim Pruitt and Mark Stevens, the morning personalities on 101 KLOL. They're bawdy and brash, the bad boys of morning radio.
It says here, one word can describe shooting, fornicating, and a lock of hair. What is the word? Punch-up line for. Yes, do you have the word, sir?
Hello?
Yes, do you have the word?
Yeah.
What is it?
Bang it.
Bang, yes.
Congratulations. Stevens and Pruitt are also well known for their daily sex survey, which airs every morning between 9 and 10. On Tuesdays, a real-life urologist, Dr. Juan Stern, answers listeners' questions. Stevens and Pruitt provide the rest.
Any new developments in penile enlargement, Doc?
No, I keep telling them, you know, they have to continue to play with it, stretch it, keep going on it.
Lose it or use it? Use it or lose it?
So who's listening to Stevens and Pruitt? Answer, white males 18 to 49. Bob Bacon is a loyal listener. He finds their raw humor welcome relief from Houston's morning rush hour traffic.
If you bend it too far, yes, whoop, and you'll fall down.
Yeah, thanks.
You drive, people running red lights, somebody's trying to cut in front of you. That just kind of makes you forget about it. I rarely make it to work without them at least cracking me up once.
For all their fans, there are also plenty of critics, people who find Stevens and Pruitt's humor offensive, even obscene.
We have never got together and said, we're going to shock somebody tomorrow, we're going to do this.
That's not ever in our lives has that ever been our goal.
Never.
Our goal has always been to make people laugh.
Yeah, to entertain them, to keep them listening. How is she going to keep them listening? If you shock them, they're going to go, ah, and turn it off. But if you entertain them, they're going to go, what's next? What's coming up?
Whatever you think of their humor, Stevens and Pruitt are doing something that's clearly appealing to a large share of Houston's radio listeners. Stevens and Pruitt's ratings have nearly tripled over the past 3 years, and ratings in this town mean big bucks for the stations in terms of advertising dollars and for the jocks. Stevens and Pruitt are paid a bundle for their bodiness, and it shows. Stevens drives a black Porsche. Pruitt favors a red Ferrari. Both clearly lead very comfortable lives. How comfortable? They're reported to make $250,000 a year each.
Houston's #1 radio station. We are 93 QFM, 790 on the AM, and we're also on TV.
Just ask this man how lucrative successful morning radio can be. John Lander, creator of the Q Morning Zoo on KKBQ, is one of the highest paid DJs in the country with a reported salary of $900,000 a year. Tomorrow, a closer look at what makes the Q Morning Zoo so popular. And this man, they call him Moby. Claire Casademont, 11 News.
Nice and warm outside. Neil Frank is certainly happy about that, aren't you?
I tell you, Steve, that temperature is nudging right up close to the 90-degree mark, and it's going to be warm again tomorrow. We'll talk about it when we come back.